In today's video, we're going to be continuing and discussing the questline that's tied to the Dark Brotherhood in the Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. Previously, we were contacted by this secret faction and completed an initiation murder of sorts in order to become a member of the guild. For a while, we were given some simpler contracts from Vicente Valtieri. Then, we were promoted enough to where the quests were coming from Ochiva and the assassinations were getting a little trickier to pull off. Finally, we were given secret orders from Lucien Lachance to meet with him somewhere secluded and private. He gave us the ultimate task of completely eradicating the Shadenhall Dark Brotherhood sanctuary. Once the deed was done, we were told the rest of our orders would come from dead drops located around Cyrodiil, leaving the rest up to us. We pull up our map and take a look at where we need to go for our first dead drop order. Hero Hill is relatively close to Fort Farragut, so we can travel on Shadowmere to our destination rather quickly. Arriving at Hero Hill, we approach the quest marker, which seems to be pointing at a mossy boulder. Looking at it, we see that it's hollowed out and we can actually gain access inside of it. We interact with the secret container and pull out our first dead drop order from Lucien Lachance. The note reads, "Silencer. You are now reading your first dead drop note here on Hero Hill, which proves to me you were well appointed to the tasks that lie ahead. Journey now to Leafrot Cave. There, you will encounter an ancient necromancer who is attempting to escape death by transforming himself into a lich. The necromancer, Keladane, has not yet completed his metamorphosis, but is still immensely powerful, possibly too powerful to destroy if confronted directly. Search Leafrot Cave. Necromancers are wizards after all, and wizards are prolific by nature. Keladane surely has written records, and these records may contain evidence of some kind of weakness. Perhaps there is some other way to destroy Keladane besides direct confrontation, but destroy him you must. When the necromancer lies dead, journey to the city of Coral for your next dead drop. At the foot of the great oak, hidden in the bushes, is an old sack. Inside, you will find your reward for killing the necromancer, as well as information regarding your next contract. Serve me well, Silencer, as there's no telling just how far you might advance." This seems to be quite a change up from our usual target demographic. Normally, we're assassinating townsfolk and shady characters, not mages transitioning into liches. It feels more like a Mages Guild matter. Looking at our map, we see that Leafrot Cave lies pretty far to the east. Our closest discovered location is Periite Shrine, so that's where we head to. Arriving at Leafrot Cave and entering inside, we begin to sneak around as we aren't so sure what else is lurking around in here. Getting to the first room, we see a skeleton champion patrolling around. Quietly moving behind it, our compass brings us to a book on a nearby table. We take a look at this journal titled The Path of Transcendence. There are 5 entries in total, all written by our target Keladane. The 5th one contains quest-relevant information. To sum up the rest of the book first, the first entry details that Keladane is beginning the prerequisites required to achieving lichdom. These include isolation, starvation, and dehydration. He also goes on to mention Falcar, the previous guild hall leader of Shadenhall, as well as Mana Marco in the form of a sovereign. Entry 2 describes how a lich's soul must remain bound to them, usually by transferring it into an object of some sort. However, once the transformation is complete, the object containing the lich's soul will have no power or domain over the lich. The 3rd entry details that Keladane has been having no luck in starting the transformation, as he is unaware on how to do so. The 4th entry says that Mana Marco himself visited Keladane in the form of visions and relayed the secrets to achieving lichdom. The 5th and final entry reads as follows. Entry 5. Through the sacrifice of many innocents, the resurrection of many servants to aid me in my tasks, and the tireless performance of a nearly week-long ritual, I have completed construction of the Sands of Resolve. The transcendence to full lichdom will not be immediate, however. The vessel has been crafted, but my energy force, my soul, must be fully transferred into it. Not even our sovereign was quite certain how long this process would take, as it varies from one necromancer to the next, based on many factors both physical and spiritual. One thing, however, is certain. This hourglass must never leave my possession until the transference is complete. I grow more powerful every day, but in truth, am more vulnerable than I've ever been. If something were to happen to the Sands of Resolve, if the hourglass should somehow leave my person, the connection between soul and vessel would be severed. To think that my work, my life, could be eradicated so easily after I've come so close to success is almost more than I can bear. It's here that we get a quest update notifying us that if we pickpocket the Sands of Resolve off of Keladane, that should lead to his death, avoiding a fight altogether. We turn around and are instantly spotted by the skeleton champion, whom conjures another skeleton to fight with him. We pull out our madness sword and begin fighting. Fortunately, the battle isn't too difficult and we slash our way through the undead. Nearby, behind a locked door, we see more undead aggroed onto us. We enter through and begin cutting away at a nether lich and its summoned skeleton hero. Once those enemies are defeated, we make our way into the next zone titled Leafrot Hollow. Here, we enter into a small space that has a hole in the ground leading further down into the cave. We drop down into it and see that just beyond a doorway is our target Keladane. Keladane is pacing back and forth through some passageways connected to a small room. Our first few attempts at sneaking up on Keladane were futile. He spotted us pretty quickly and instantly aggroed us. Just to attempt it, on one of the failed tries, we armed ourselves and went in for the attack against the dangerous necromancer. We struck him down in 3 blows, and that could have easily wrapped up the contract. We wanted to try it the recommended way, so we reloaded the save and learned his patrol patterns a little more. Discovering a great spot to tail behind him unseen, we look into his inventory and successfully remove his tethered item, the Sands of Resolve. Within moments, Keladane falls dead. It's here that we receive a quest update telling us that it's time to leave Leafrot Cave and head to our next dead drop. We leave the cave, and with that, thus ends the quest, Affairs of a Wizard. We look at our map and see that the next dead drop is located in the city of Coral. We fast travel over to the north gate at once. Approaching the great oak tree in the center of the court, we see that there's a sack hidden away amongst some bushes. Looking into the sack, we see our reward for the last contract as well as our next dead drop orders. The orders read, "The necromancer Keladane is dead and you are not. That's quite an accomplishment, but your work as a silencer has just begun. Your next assignment requires you to eliminate not just 1 target, but 5, an entire family in fact. The unlucky siblings are Perennia Draconis, Matthias Draconis, Andreas Draconis, Sibylla Draconis, and Celia Draconis. The locations of most of the family members are unknown, so you should begin your search with the family matron, Perennia, who resides at the farm called Applewatch. You must discern the locations of all of the Draconis family members and then systematically eliminate them. I suggest you first speak with the mother and find out if she has any valuable information on the whereabouts of her children before ending her life. When every member of the Draconis family lies dead, journey to the city of Skingrad. In the castle courtyard, you'll find a well containing your reward for the Draconis contract as well as any further assignment I may have. Opening our map, we see that Applewatch Farm lies to the west of Bruma, and lucky for us, we already have it discovered. We fast travel over and enter inside of the cottage. Here, we see a dog named Jake wandering around as well as our target, Perennia Draconis, whom lies asleep in her bed. We wake her up to speak with her.
Oh, hello there. I'm sorry, you startled me. My nerves get rattled rather easily these days, I'm afraid. Living alone will do that to you. Now, is there something I can help you with? My children? Whatever for? Oh dear. Excuse an old woman's stupidity. You're here to pick up my gift list. Using your gift service was the smartest thing I've ever done. My children are spread across Cyrodiil, and it's so hard to shop for them all. So here's the list of all my precious little ones, though I dare say they're not so little anymore. They grow up so fast, I swear. You'll notice that the list gives each child's location and some suggestions for gifts. Oh, and here's the gold I'm supposed to give you. Now please go. Those children are so dear to me, and I'd really like you to get them something special. Thanks again.
Perennia hands us the gift list for her children, and we give it a read. Dear Courier, I would like to thank you again for agreeing to assist me. I was so delighted when a friend recommended you and will certainly employ your services again in the future if everything goes well with this round of purchases. You can imagine how difficult it is for an old woman such as myself to get around. My children, darlings that they are, deserve the best, and I'm afraid I haven't been able to properly show my love and appreciation for them in quite a few years. But all that is behind me now. Here is the list of gifts I think my family would most enjoy, as well as each child's current place of residence, which should be used for delivery. Matthias, Talos Plaza District, Imperial City. He has a home there. Matthias always was a rough and tumble lad. The last I'd heard, he'd fallen in with some pretty tough characters there in the Imperial City. I'd feel so much better if I knew he was well protected, so I'd like for you to find him a nice cuirass. Nothing too light, iron or steel should be fine. And if possible, I'd like it engraved with, "To my dear Maddie, I'll always be here to protect you. Love, Mum." Andreas, the Drunken Dragon Inn. He owns the place and lives there as well. Andy has been brewing his own beer and spirits since he was 6 years old. The opening of that inn was the happiest day of his life. I'd like for you to get him some new tavern glasses. I'm sure there are craftsmen in the Imperial City who can make a fancy set from frosted ebony or altmary crystal. Sibylla, Muck Valley Cavern. Yes, my daughter lives in a cave, and no, I'm not very happy about it. Sibby has always loved animals, almost as much as Andy loves beer, and a couple of years ago, she apparently thought it a good idea to abandon the Empire and live as a savage with the rest of the animals. In that time, I'm afraid Sibby has kind of cracked. She's basically as wild as the beasts she lives with. What can I do? I'm Sibby's mother and I'll always love her. She obviously doesn't want or need anything from civilized society, so what I'd like you to do is find a tanner and secure the largest fur blankets you can possibly find. The last time I saw Sibby, she was nearly naked, and I can't imagine there's much in that cave to keep her warm. When you do bring them to Muck Valley Cavern, be careful. The wild animals are bad enough, but Sibby herself will probably attack anyone on sight. Celia, Castle Leywin. You'll find her in the barracks. My beautiful Say. My dearest daughter broke so many hearts when she was younger, but now that she's an officer in the Imperial Legion, I'm afraid she's let herself go a bit. Not gotten fat, by Mephala, not that, but she settled into a more practical kind of look. Even a bit boyish, I guess you could say. So, what I'd like you to do is get my Say as much pretty girl stuff as you can. Flowers, perfume, nor chocolate, that sort of thing. You've already received half of your fee in advance, and you'll receive the remainder after the gifts have been purchased and delivered, as we originally agreed. Thank you again for providing such a valuable service. Sincerely, Perennia Draconis. Now that we know not only where to find the rest of the Draconis family, but also a little bit into their lifestyle and occupations, the assassinations should come pretty easily. As Perennia returns to her bed for some more sleep, we approach with our weapon drawn. We wind up a big swing, striking her for about half of her health, and follow that up with a few more slashes, killing her quickly. Jake rushes over and lunges at us, defending his mistress bravely. We raise our sword against the hound, and Jake dies in battle. Exiting Applewatch, our first target is Matthias, who currently resides in the Talos Plaza district. During his day job, he works as a guard in the basement of the Umbacano Manor within the district. We fast travel over, approach the home, and actually see Matthias standing outside of the door. We approach him to hear some dialogue.
There. Yeah? What are you looking at? Okay, well then, I'm going to go about my business. And stop staring at me, would you? You're giving me the creeps.
It would be too risky to kill him out in the open, so we wait until the daytime and enter into the manor. We see Matthias is in here with us, and we follow him down into the basement. Upon seeing us down there with him, he quickly approaches us and asks us to leave. We speak with him again and try to provoke a reaction.
Yeah? What are you looking at? What? A dead man? You got some kind of death wish, is that it? Slave of what? Oh, all right then. You're some kind of crazy, is that it? Come here then. Show me what you've got.
Soon, Matthias gets angry enough and begins attacking us, forfeiting any claim he had to self-defense. We draw our blade and make quick work of the Breton. We even went as far as toying with his poor bladesmanship, really savoring the kill. Once Matthias was dead, we left Umbacano Manor and set out for the next target, Celia Draconis. We opened our map and fast traveled over to the city of Leywin. Celia is an officer in the Imperial Legion, but has been stationed in town as a guard. Arriving there, we seek out Celia in the streets and attempt to speak with her. However, we were wanted for some crime, likely the killing of Adamus Philida, and she had us hauled away to the castle to pay our fines. Once that was all taken care of, we sought her back down in the streets, as now it was more personal, and devised quite the devious plan. We spoke with her to explore some dialogue options.
Yes? Is there something you need? Hello? Did you hear me? I asked if you needed anything. Well then, I've got duties to tend to, so if you'll excuse me. My mother? Oh, do you know her? She's such a sweet woman. I've been a terrible daughter, I'm afraid. I simply must visit more often. Anyway, I have duties to tend to. If you see my mother, tell her I'll visit soon, I promise. Oh, do you now? Well then, far be it for me to deny you such a reasonable request. Guards, I need assistance. This person is resisting arrest.
Celia draws her sword and begins to come after us. We start to run off and ensure that she's still following. We lead her to the Fighters Guild Hall and enter inside. Little does she know, we're the master of this guild, and our loyal companions don't want to see us get hurt. She follows us within, and in a flash, 3 members of the guild come to our aid and start cutting her down. She puts up a good fight and stays standing for quite some time. However, she inevitably succumbs to her wounds and dies. The next Draconis on our list is Andreas, who appears to be the proprietor at the Drunken Dragon Inn. The Drunken Dragon Inn is located right beside Adatar, west of Fort Telemann and east of Arpenia. We already have it discovered and fast travel over. Entering inside, the inn is relatively quiet, with just an Imperial Legion soldier lingering on the inside. Andreas is asleep on a bedroll behind the bar counter. We wake him up to hear some dialogue.
Looking for a room? All right then. You're not one for talking. I can respect that. Well, if you need anything, just let me know. Kill me? What is this? Who are you? I don't know who sent you, but you won't take me down without a fight. So go ahead. Make your move!
Andreas was provoked and begins attacking us. We reload the save and explore the final dialogue option.
My mother? No! What have you done to her? I'll kill you! Ah!
Both dialogue pathways lead to Andreas attacking us. However, because he appears to be the aggressor, the Imperial Legion officer comes to our aid, unknowingly killing the innocent man. The final Draconis family member, Sibylla, apparently resides in Muck Valley Cavern. Peering at our map, we see that it's located near the western bank of Lake Popad. We fast travel over to the nearby settlement of Harlan's Watch and make our way over. We arrive at the cave relatively shortly and enter inside. Here, we face a variety of rats and bears, both of which are no problem for our enchanted ebony blade. Eventually, we make our way through the tight tunnels and open rooms to face down a brown bear, which proves to be a bit more challenging than the black bears, but still very killable. Behind the bear is Sibylla Draconis, whom, upon seeing us, instantly turns aggro, as suggested per Perennia's note. She isn't a very difficult fight for us, and after a few blows back and forth, the entire Draconis family line lies dead. We receive a quest update that it's time for our next contract. We exit Muck Valley Cavern, and with that, thus ends the quest, Next of Kin. We open up our map and see that our next dead drop is in the courtyard of Castle Skingrad. Fast traveling over and entering the castle grounds, we approach the well, which doubles as a storage space. Peering inside, we find our reward as well as our next set of orders. The note reads, "Are you ready to get your hands dirty, Silencer? Your next target is a Khajiit nobleman by the name of Jagasta, who can be found at his home in the city of Bruma." Jagasta was recently offered the hand of a prominent Cyrodiil noble's daughter, but turned down the offer when he learned of the girl's rather negligible dowry. The girl's family is outraged, of course, and has hired the Dark Brotherhood to make Jagasta pay for his insolence. Go to Jagasta's house in Bruma and end his miserable life. But be warned, the Khajiit is rich and bored and spends most of his time honing his skills in unarmed combat. Any opponent who can kill with merely his hands is not to be trifled with, so tread carefully. Even worse, Jagasta is aware someone may be trying to kill him and has bribed the guards not to interfere if a fight should spill out into the city streets. When the target has been eliminated, you will find your next dead drop in a rotten box under the old bridge just south of the Imperial City. The box will contain your reward for killing Jagasta, as well as information regarding your next contract. We pop open our map and make way for the city of Bruma. It's quite intriguing that Jagasta has some foresight of his assassination and that the guards won't do anything to him or us if they see us fighting to the death. We arrive at the Khajiit's doorstep and enter inside. The house is still and quiet with no signs of life. We make our way to the basement and look around a bit. We manage to lay eyes on a hatch that leads into Jagasta's secret training room. Taking a few steps and poking our heads into the area, we see the hardy Khajiit turning in for bed. We approach him to hear all dialogue options.
I don't recall inviting you into my house. Leave quickly, or we will have a problem. So, the thief opts for the stoic approach, hmm? Oh, my friend. I'm afraid you've broken into your last house. What? Who are you to come into my home, to speak to me like a petulant child? Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what you're dealing with? Say this. What is this treachery? Who sent you? I don't know who is behind this outrage, but I will have blood. To the void with you, assassin.
No matter the outcome, Jagasta turns aggressive and begins to fight us. Lucky for us, his barehanded attacks don't do nearly as much damage as Lucien Lechance suggested they might. Just to see what would happen, we fled Jagasta's home and brought the battle out into the streets of Bruma. As the note mentioned, the guards, nor even the citizens, batted an eye in our direction. We started to fight back against the Khajiit with our blade, which seemed like an unfair fight. To Jagasta's credit, his health didn't go down that easily, but the battle was still one-sided. Soon, we cut him down in the streets and received a quest update that we can go to the next dead drop location. What's most interesting about Jagasta is that if we re-enter back inside his home and go to the basement level, we'll see a locked keg standing in the corner, secured by a very hard lock. If we successfully get into it, we see that it contains a black hand robe and hood, as well as the 5 tenets, which are officially sanctioned by the Dark Brotherhood. Why Jagasta has these in his possession is anyone's guess, but something is certainly fishy. With that, thus ends the quest, Broken Vows. Opening our map and taking a look around, we see that our next dead drop is located at Old Bridge, which is south of the Imperial City. We fast travel over to our nearest discovered location, the Imperial City waterfront, and make our way there. Arriving at the bridge and walking underneath it, we see the aforementioned rotten box and look inside. It holds our reward as well as the next set of orders. The note reads, "Jagasta is dead. Well done. I was right about you, Silencer. You are a useful tool indeed. Let's see if you can continue to impress me. You must journey now to the flooded mine. There, you will find Shaliz, an Argonian hunter who was banished from her village near the Black Marsh Morrowind border for the brutal murder of a dark elven family. Relatives of the murdered family members have located Shaliz and demand retribution. And since the assignment is a bit far for Morrowind's Morag Tong to handle, the Dark Brotherhood has been commissioned to perform the elimination. Be warned, Silencer, Shaliz is a skilled and deadly hunter and will fight like the desperate fugitive she is. After Shaliz has been eliminated, your reward and another contract will be waiting at the dead drop location in a coffin just outside the ruins of Fort Redmond. Peering at our map, we see that Flooded Mine is just north of the Bay Rowan stables of Breville, so we fast travel over there. This certainly feels more like a contract for the Fighters Guild, or even a job the Imperial Army should handle, but nevertheless, we'll take care of it. Arriving at the mine and entering inside, it's partially flooded, as suggested by the name, with a few spots we can pop our head out of to breathe. We swim around, following our compass, and eventually, we see a figure emerge from the murky waters, sword in hand. Shaliz is aggroed onto us, swimming in for the kill. We pull out our weapon and the battle begins. Her hits are decent, and if we didn't have our best set of heavy armor on, they might have even proved to be a problem. With every swing that we landed, her health crept lower at a good pace, demonstrating that she had above average health. In the end, she was no match for us, and Shalise was killed in the watery tunnels of Flooded Mine. We receive a quest update that we can leave the cave and head to our next dead drop, thus ending the quest, Final Justice. We look at our map and see that the next dead drop is located at Fort Redmond in County Leeuwin. Our nearest location discovered is Nocturnal's Daedric Shrine, so we fast travel there and make our way over. We arrive at Fort Redmond and enter inside of its walls. Just by the doors leading into the depths of the fort, we see a coffin positioned upright against the wall. We interact with it and see that our reward as well as the next contract are inside of it. The contract reads, "If you're reading this note, Shalise is dead. You've done the world a great service, Silencer. It's time to continue the good work. Your next target is a traveling dark elf merchant by the name of Alval Uvani, who is currently renting a house in the city of Leeuwin. Uvani is a well-respected tradesman back in his native Morrowind, but his business often takes him very far from home. Therein lies the problem. Alval Uvani's wife has become disillusioned with her husband's repeated, extended absence and wishes to dissolve their marriage, and has sought the Dark Brotherhood's assistance. Lucky for us, Cyrodiil is a bit beyond the reach of Morrowind's Morag Tong. Alval Uvani is currently traveling around Cyrodiil and is never in one place for more than a couple of days. In this dead drop, you will also find a schedule detailing the Dark Elf's whereabouts. Use it to locate him and plan your elimination. Be aware, however, that because he is forced to travel alone to the farthest reaches of the Empire, Uvani has learned to defend himself. He is a master of the Destruction School of Magicka and is no stranger to killing. When Alval Uvani lies rotting, journey to the market district of the Imperial City. There, you will find a shop called Stonewall Shields. Your dead drop is located behind that building in a hollowed out tree stump. As usual, you will find your reward for the previous contract, as well as information on your next. Yes, I must mention one last detail. Apparently, Alval Uvani suffers from a rare dark elf condition, a serious allergy to honey. If you could somehow get Uvani to drink the honey-based spirit, mead, perhaps by replacing his food, he would suffer from complete paralyzation. This would certainly make the dark elf a bit easier to deal with. We close the note and take a look at Alval's schedule. As he travels around Cyrodiil, Alval Uvani could be found at the following locations on the following days: Morndis Tyrdes, Breville, the Lonely Suitor Lodge; Middis Tyrdes, Skingrad, the Westweald Inn; Freydis Lordis, Bruma, Olav's Tap and Tack; Sundis, Leeuwin, Alval Uvani's house, rented property. Keep in mind that there may be some variation based on the time it takes for him to get to the different cities. Closing the schedule, we take a look at what day it is to see where Alval will be situated. The day is Tyrdes, which means he is currently residing at the Lonely Suitor Lodge in Breville. We open our map, see the quest marker is correct, and fast travel over there at once. Entering inside of the inn, Alval can be seen storming through the place, showing that he's likely feeling uncomfortable and on edge at the moment. We speak with him to hear what dialogue can be offered.
You get any closer and I'll turn your bones to ash. Back off. I have no time for your pathetic attempts at small talk. Now walk away before I get nasty.
He's very rude and dismissive, which isn't very surprising based off of what Lucian mentioned about him in the note. It would have been really easy to strike him down right here and now and just be done with the contract, accepting whatever charges we face, but I really wanted to explore his honey allergy. Interestingly, neither the Lonely Suitor Lodge, Silver Home on the Water, or any of the local merchants sold mead. So, we decided to let Alval travel to the Westweald Inn in Skingrad on Middis. We finally found the honey-based beverage and got the chance to place it in front of him. The first time we did it, he stood up, put it into his inventory, and walked away. The second time we did it, he likely pulled the first bottle of mead out and began drinking it, as he soon started to react to it.
Benigone, the new master can rebuild the Fighters Guild to its former glory.
Body frozen.
Certainly not.
Must have been
So long.
the damn
Be
mead.
seeing you.
No, you filthy gutter snipe. You won't get away with this. By Sithis, if I could only move my arms, I'd rip that smile right off your face.
Now, we wanted to get even more creative and see if the locals could kill him for us. We cast a frenzy spell on Alvil, inflicting it on 3 other bystanders, and watched them all run around, attacking each other in a craze. Unfortunately, none of them really went after our target, so we took out our longsword and cut down the Dark Elf. We received a quest update that we can now go to the next dead drop. Interestingly, we decided to take Alvel's house key and go into his home in Leowin. Inside was completely silent and still. It actually gave me the creeps just being in there. Wandering upstairs into his bedroom, just above his bed is a painting that's also a hidden wall safe. It's secured with a very hard lock, and once it's cracked, we see he's in possession of a blackhand robe and hood, as well as the 5 tenets, exactly the same as Jagasta. Something is definitely not adding up with our last few contracts. They've been out of character for what we normally deal with, and a few of our marks have even held onto Brotherhood relics. We're very puzzled by this, and we find ourselves asking more and more questions. With that, thus ends the quest, A Matter of Honor. We open our map and see that the next dead drop is located in the Imperial City Market District, just behind Stonewall Shields. We fast travel over and make our way to the small clearing behind all of the buildings. Here, we see an odd looking tree stump which, upon closer inspection, has been hollowed out and turned into a container. We look inside and see our reward as well as information on the next contract. The note reads, Alval Uvani is dead, just like all the others. You continue to impress me, Silencer, and I am only too eager to indulge in your homicidal instincts. Your next target is a savage Nord barbarian living alone and exposed at a small campsite on the summit of Knoll Mountain. This barbarian, Havelstein Horblood, by name, savagely butchered the chieftain of a mead hall on the island of Solstheim. The chieftain's sister has foregone the Nord custom of extracting the monetary retribution of Weregild and instead wants Horblood to pay with his life. You, dear Silencer, will help put her family at peace. You are to go to Knoll Mountain, locate Havelstein Horblood, and send his soul to Sithis. When Horblood has been executed, journey to the alien ruin of Nornal. In the flooded section of that ruin, you will find a chest submerged in the water. As you may have guessed, the chest contains your reward for killing Havelstein Horblood and your next contract. Popping open our map and scrolling north, we see that Knoll Mountain is high up in the Gerals. Our closest known location in proximity and elevation is Dragonclaw Rock. We fast travel over and traverse up and across the mountains with Shadowmere. We approach the camp and see a sleeping Nord, presumably Havelstein Horblood, as well as his pet wolf, Redmaw. Eventually, we get in close and Horblood wakes up and arms himself, instantly turning aggressive towards us. Redmaw initiates the fight by lunging at us, and Shadowmere comes to our aid, making it a fair fight in terms of numbers. Together, we take out Redmaw first, as one swift heavy attack does the trick. Then, we focus our efforts on Havelstein, whom swings an enchanted ebony battle axe at us. He has quite a good amount of health, and if left unchecked, would certainly serve as a problem to fight against. With a few coordinated attacks, we were able to successfully slay Havelstein Horblood. We received a quest update about the next dead drop. Our contracts haven't really been making too much sense lately. A few of our targets have had Black Hand apparel on them, and others have been isolated and holed up in remote locations of Cyrodiil, expecting trouble to come. Even this latest contract clearly defied Nord tradition of monetary retribution and had our secret faction of killers do the dirty work for them, which is almost unheard of. The questions and concerns continue to pile up, and with that, thus ends the quest, The Coldest Sleep.